Hey everybody, welcome back to Jack of All Trades Tabletop. I am Dave Wallace and this is my Elegoo Mars 2 Pro 3D printer. It's not the fastest, it's not the biggest, it's not even the most high-tech. But with it, I've been able to do all of this and much more. Now before you go clicking off the channel thinking that you just want to watch something about gaming, well, this is all about how 3D printer can enhance all types of gaming, from solo gaming, board gaming, RPGs, war games, all of that. And we're going to discuss that right here and how this can benefit you. My lovely wife got me this 3D printer for Christmas about a year and a half ago, and it turned out to be one of the coolest gifts that I never knew I wanted. I was already a miniature painter at the time, but most of that for me came through board games, Warhammer, even WizKids, little Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. I had different reasons why I wasn't really thinking about getting a 3D printer, and we're actually going to discuss some of those reasons that might be holding you back before I get into showing you what I've done with it and what you can do with it in return. Probably the biggest factor that keeps people from wanting to get a new 3D printer is the price. And over time, I mean, the prices have come down dramatically, and the deals that you can get on them nowadays are far better than what they used to be. You can get one that is pretty similar to mine. It's actually probably a little bit newer. I believe you can get the Mars 4 for under $200. And of course, the prices do, go up quite a bit more. But for a starter model, get it under $200. I understand that nowadays, just the cost of living drains us a lot of times, and forking out $200 for something that you're not even positive you love, that's a little bit tricky to do sometimes. But on the other hand, those of us who really want something, a lot of times we will find a way. Consider all of the gamers out there who are willing to drop $200 on a Kickstarter game that you're not even sure if you like, because it's not going to show up on your doorstep for another 2 years. If you do it close to Christmas, the way that my wife got mine, then you're going to get even more deals. Of course, prices are going to come down, and they're going to try to combo things. So you could get your cure and wash station together with the printer and get a combo deal. They usually have packages where they'll throw in like a bunch of resin and extra stuff in there. So definitely the holidays is a really good time to get one. Prices on everything is expensive these days. Last Sunday, I bought dinner for the family, 4 of us. My daughter, who eats like a bird, is only 10 years old. With the 4 of us, it cost $80 with the tip. $80 for one dinner. I was irritated at myself for the rest of the night because that costs half as much as my printer costs. So, considering the way that things are in the world today with your gas prices and your food prices, $200 for a 3D printer is actually pretty cheap, and they're only getting cheaper. And a lot of people will have reservations about just technology and learning something new and new computer programs that got to use for it. But the tech behind 3D printers, as far as the user, it's really not that bad. Trust me, I am not a tech guy. I'm probably the last tattoo artist in South Florida who still draws all his tattoo designs on paper and doesn't use an iPad. I'm just not a tech person. If I can figure it out, I guarantee you can figure it out. It's really not that hard. These things only have like 3 buttons on them anyway. Even, the user manual for this thing is pretty small. It's just a bunch of diagrams. It's really easy. There's nothing to be afraid of as far as trying to figure out the tech behind this. Even maintenance and keeping up with the resin is not really that bad. When you first get it, you'll probably make a little mess or two here or there, and you will need some gloves, but you dial things in. I usually try to stick with one type of resin. I use this Anycubic, and it's just gray. And the good thing about that is the resin that is in the tray, it's not going to dry up. So you can just leave. I've left it in there for a couple weeks at a time, and just take a little coffee stir and stir it up and top it off, and you're good to go. Just put it in a corner somewhere where it can stay level and out of direct sunlight, and you should be fine. They're really not that difficult when it comes to the maintenance. Sure, you're going to have a little problem here and there as you're learning things. You're going to have some difficulties, but it's not that bad. And the best thing about it is you can always just go right on like Facebook and find a 3D printer group and just ask a question. You're going to get 30 people answering you in no time. These are really simple to use, and the results are pretty awesome. And the benefits to gamers, well, just take a look.
So of course, as a miniature painter, I print some of these just for the love of painting. Most of these I get from subscription sites like Flesh of Gods or Loot Studios. You can also get a variety of individual models from myminifactory.com or Etsy. I usually increase the size ratio so they make a nice little statue and easier to get the details. These can make really cool gifts. I've even made statues for my D&D players. So as far as board games, there's more out there to enhance your board games than you might think. If you saw my top 10 video, you saw that I upgraded my Escape from Stalingrad Z game by printing zombies and characters to replace the standees that came with the game. This could be done with pretty much any game that has standees or tokens for your characters. Just look for models similar to the game's art. But there are other ways to enhance your games besides miniatures. You can get all kinds of cool stuff on Etsy, like 3D printable tokens or token holders, card and deck holders and card display stands, dice towers, and avid game collectors really like to keep their games organized. There are many creators on Etsy who have designed board game inserts, customized for specific games so they fit in the box just right. There's a lot of great games out there these days that are just basically a rule book and you have to supply the rest, like 5 Parsecs from Home, Death Wizards, and Gaslands. Here's my team for 5 Parsecs from Home, which I talked about on my top 10 video. I designed these myself using Eldritch Foundry. You can also print a horde for your Death Wizards. You can even print out guns and other weapons to mount to your Matchbox cars for Gaslands. Are you a game designer interested in creating your own game? Being able to print your own designs is helpful to get your ideas down. These miniatures are from a game of my own design. I'm not really prepared to speak on that yet. But you can design and customize your own miniatures without being a 3D artist. There are a couple of sites that'll help you do this. Like I said, I prefer Eldritch Foundry. It's super to ease and create by choosing race, size, weapons, clothing, even the pose and the look of the base. I like Eldritch Foundry because I can get a monthly subscription for like, 10 or 12 bucks and create unlimited models. This is especially useful as a DM. RPGs is really where this is useful, especially as a DM. The freedom to bring to life any beast that you wish to unleash on your players, using Eldritch Foundry to design miniatures for your players exactly as they see themselves, creating your NPCs and villains. Again, I used Eldritch Foundry for these minis. These are the minis for my D&D players. I tried to make them look as close to their description as possible. These minis are for my daughter. I actually run a kind of simplified version of Dungeons & Dragons for my 10-year-old daughter and her best friend. So they wanted to be a druid and a fairy. And they have a pet dog. You can also make your own dice towers and dice tray as well as props and terrain. This is a DM's dream.
I forgot to mention in that video also that for war gamers, Warhammer miniatures usually come with their own base that people like to build up and stuff, but I use my printer to print out customized bases for a lot of my Warhammer miniatures, or just print out little bits that glue into the bases themselves. So war gamers, of course, are going to have a lot of advantages with these too. Now, I actually do have another 3D printer. I have a second one. It is newer, it is bigger, it is faster, and I have yet to use it. I actually got it from a friend of mine. It was payment for a paint job for a board game. I believe it was the Marvel Zombies game. He gave it to me as a trade, and it's beautiful, and I absolutely plan to use it. The only reason I haven't yet is just because I wanted to prolong its life. I figured as long as my Elegoo is still doing fine, and yes, I'm aware that name is terrible, but yes, my Elegoo works great. I just figure for now I'm just gonna, drive it till the wheels fall off, and then I'll have a brand new Anycubic printer sitting right there ready to go. So that's the only reason I haven't gotten into it yet, though. I have been looking at some larger possible prints that make me think maybe I should just go ahead and fire it up while I'm at it. So anyway, there you go. There's a whole bunch of great reasons that a 3D printer might just help you enhance your gaming life. But what about you? Have you ever thought about getting a 3D printer? Do you have one? One that you love? Have you had a couple of them? You like one more than the other, and why? I'd like to know what your thoughts are. If you've always wanted to get one, but something was holding you back, maybe something other than what I said, what's holding you back? Just curious? It's not for everybody, but they're pretty damn cool. All right, that's going to be it for this time. Until next time, get out there and roll some dice. Hey gamers, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. It's one of the things I know that I can count on with the gaming community at large. This is of course to the point where I gotta ask you to like it, hit that subscribe button, and maybe share this with a friend. If you are a game designer, or maybe starting your own gaming company, and you want to do a little bit of cross promotion, maybe you got a prototype that you want me to check out and talk about on the show, definitely let me know. And of course, for all questions, suggestions, and corrections, there's all kinds of ways to get a hold of me. Probably the easiest one is just comment below. You can also send me an email at jackofallgamestt@gmail.com. The T stands for tabletop. And if you'd like to take a look at my commissioned miniature paint jobs, or even some of the other stuff in my life like photography or tattooing, which is what I do for my day job, go check it out on Instagram at Art of Wallace. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next episode.